America's at war with Al Qaeda, but we're still losing the war against Al Sharpton.
The Asian community was a target as well.
Let's talk about Chinese people with their kung fu and all that silly chang-chang-chong talk. I can't understand you. Go back to your country, white power.
Mr. Big B was also critical of the entertainment industry.
Don't let the liberal media tell you how to think and feel. If you have hate in your heart, let it out. If you don't like Will and Grace, that don't mean there's something wrong with you. It means there's something wrong with Will. He's homosexual.
Politicians weren't spared either.
White power. Colin Powell. Conolingus rice. Conolingus rice sounds like a Mexican dish. Maybe we should put her on a plate and send her to Mexico so the Mexicans will eat her. White power. Just open up your heart and let that hate out.
Show us your face. We want to see your face.
Who said that? You want to see my face?
Clayton, go on, brother.
Do you want to see my face? Don't be afraid, Jason. We're talking about don't be afraid. There is cookie and punch for us to enjoy, and we can meet, talk about white brotherhood. Thank y'all for coming. White power!
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twin with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. And, yeah, everything you know in the world is fake and gay, and that skit was more real than any white supremacist group that you have seen in the last 10 years. How crazy is that? Again, everything's fake and gay, and there is no truth but power, according to the left and according to groups like the SPLC. And it's just nuts. I mean, they fund white supremacy. And again, it's what I've told you before. There is a huge demand for racism, but there is a very small supply of it. Like, there is no real large group of racists out there gathering and organizing. If the SPLC hadn't been funding groups like the KKK, they wouldn't exist anymore, because nobody, I mean, again, it's embarrassing to be affiliated or associated with the KKK. It's an embarrassing group. And that's the sad truth and reality of what's going on in the world right now. And I say sad, but that's the truth. Like, no one wants to join these groups. No one wants to be a part of these groups, because culturally we have stomped them out. I mean, Hollywood and the left, like, they have made it uncool to be associated with the KKK and all these organizations. Like, it's impossible to have a social life and be affiliated with these groups. And that's a good thing. I mean, it goes to show you how far we've come as a society. It's amazing that these groups can be stomped out, but here we are now living in this world where they're being funded by the very people who say they're fighting them. And again, it's a lot like the issues we have with climate change. People whose jobs are dependent on proving that climate change is real again, if your job is totally dependent on finding out that climate change is real, you're going to find that climate change is real so your job can still be funded. Who wouldn't want to have a cushy job where you can just make up pseudoscience and say, hey, yeah, no, for sure, this is real? So again, it's the same with the SPLC. There's a very large demand for racism because we want racism to be everywhere so we can further separate and further demoralize the black and white population against each other, weaponize that hate against each other, because that sells. That's cool. That's sexy. That's what we want to see in the news. But no, there's not a huge demand of it. There's a huge demand, but a small supply, because there are no real racists out there in the world who are taken seriously at all. But of course, the left and the SPLC would have you believe differently. They go, no, we have to make it exist. We have to make it real. Otherwise, we're out of a job. And they know that. They know that. And again, it was all weaponized against Donald Trump. So again, that was a great Dave Chappelle skit. Awesome Dave Chappelle skit from back in the day. It's kind of poetic, really. again, that skit came out years ago, and it holds true today. The Southern Poverty Law Center was unmasked, and who the Grand Wizard of the KKK, black folks. So again, it's all about power. There is no truth but power. Remember that, and that's why these people do what they do. That's why they fund the things that they fund. So we'll just go here and we'll just start going through all this stuff real quick. I mean,
imagine for a second how the left would be reacting if it was discovered that a right-wing organization was actively funding the KKK and other white supremacist groups. Yeah, it's all we'd fucking hear about. But now that the Southern Poverty Law Center has been exposed to be doing just that, there's not one peep, not one video from either Harry Sisson or Aaron Parnas. Go take a look. Go to their page after this video and see. Try to find one video, one headline of them covering this story. And even if they didn't think this story was legitimate, there's not even a video covering it as news from any major left-wing content creator. Like, imagine if this was the Heritage Foundation caught funding the KKK. They would be losing their minds. They'd be going ballistic, like ape shit. But they've been caught red-handed and are pretending the story doesn't even exist. And that's how you know they are funded by the same people who funded the Southern Poverty Law Center, who funded the KKK, and kept them on life support. You can't make this shit up. Can you?
Yeah, that's 100% right. Again, none of these liberal left-wing pundits are talking about this because it's embarrassing. It destroys their narrative. It blows up in the face of their narrative. And, oh, wow, I didn't even switch to this. My bad. So you guys didn't even see that guy reading that. But anyway, that's my bad, folks. You're just hearing it on audio. So my apologies. But, yeah, no. So that's what you got. That's what you hear. And it's absolutely crazy. But this is the world we live in today. Once again, there is no truth but power, and we will fund racism to keep our jobs alive and well. Because if there is no racism to be found, you can't work at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay, let's check this one out.
Remember when the Southern Poverty Law Center added Turning Point to their hate group list? As Charlie mentioned at the time, we were right there next to the KKK and the neo-Nazis. But now that it appears the SPLC was actually giving money in support of the KKK and other actual hate groups, I'm here to tell you, we never got a dime. The race-baiting, irrelevant has-been of an organization allegedly was attempting to stoke division by funding hate groups. But ironically, even though they'd listed TPUSA as a hate group, the SPLC themselves didn't believe we were hateful enough to give us any money. Like, hey, we made the list. Where's the check? Unless calling us a hate group was a lie. Now, they'd never lie about us. Remember when the...
Again, it's like what I just said. There is no truth but power. They will lie, cheat, and steal because it doesn't matter what's true. It matters to attain power. It's not about the truth. It's about maintaining power so that they can come in and destroy you. Again, this is the left. This is what the left is all about. They don't have a God. I mean, there are people who believe in God on the left, so don't make me think I'm trying to make an unfair characterization. But the truth of the matter is they don't have a God. There is no truth but power. So the truth is whatever they say it is. The truth is whatever who is in power says it is. And that's a scary thought. If you don't have a morality, if you don't have anything, if you don't have a moral foundations based in God, then it's just based on your preferences and opinions. And again, most of your moral foundations, anyone who's an atheist, anyone who doesn't believe in God, most of your moral foundations were developed on the Christian moral ethic. And you can't undo that. Like, your ideas, every idea that you think and understand from a moral ethos, like right, wrong, thou shalt not kill, all that stuff comes from the Bible. It all comes from that religious moral worldview. And you can't disassociate American culture from that. You guys go, oh, these truths, again, you guys would be like, those truths are just self-evident. Why are they self-evident? Food for thought.
Oh, like everything you thought was actual right-wing extremism was actually probably a psyop funded by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
300,000 to the Aryan Nation, 270,000 to unite the right, $73,000 to former KKK members. There is no way in fuck that the same organization that called Charlie Kirk a right-wing extremist was secretly caught giving money to the KKK and the Nazis. You can't make this shit up. Y'all be telling us it's right-wing American nationalism causing all these problems with racism. Whole time y'all are funding the very problems that your website says they're trying to eradicate. And of course we ain't gonna hear nothing about this on the news because the news only cares when Trump looks bad. Y'all remember Charlottesville? Huh? That was more than likely funded by the...
Turns out,
Was funded by the SPLC. Yep. Again, like those Unite the Right rally. Remember those guys who were all wearing khakis and those bandanas? Like, I'm betting they paid for all those clothes. They paid for all those paid actors to come out there and do that. Some of them could have been true believers, but I doubt it. I truly doubt it. I think it's all plants. It's all fake.
Radical right extremists and hate purveyors in America, and this of course comes from the SPLC. So let's see who's first on their list. Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson.
I mean, big hate monger.
I mean, you
saw him on stage at Charlie's Memorial.
The ranting, the raving.
It was just endless hatred.
The Heritage Foundation, Dennis Prager, PragerU, the Federalist Society, Franklin Graham, the Catholic Medical Association.
It just sounds like the SPLC says everyone who has a slightly right-leaning opinion on things are bad guys and evil and white supremacists. I mean, again, this is what happens when people can arbitrarily dictate what bad looks like, and that's what the Southern law, the SPLC was all about. It's about the perceivedness. It's about their perceived authority being granted to them, saying, "Hey, we know what racism looks like, therefore we declare you racist." That's what we're talking about here. They had that power. If someone said, "Well, the SPLC said it, therefore it has to be true," they could declare me that. And most people in the Democratic Party would be like, "Oh, yep, Corey Watson, white supremacist." Again, my military career be darned. My friends and social groups be darned. The fact that one of my best friends in basic training was a black guy. The fact that I'm friends with plenty of Hispanic people. Like, again, none of that matters. What matters is the fact that the power that they wield, they can wield against you to label you that thing. Because the people in your inner circle might know who you really are, but the rest of the world doesn't. Again, that's scary. That's when I say there is no truth but power, and they're declaring it. They've given themselves the power to declare you a racist, and that's what's scary. And the world will believe them. The media most certainly will.
The Alliance Defending Freedom, Focus on the Family Research Council, which we just described, had a attempted mass shooting there. Religious Liberty Commission, Liberty Council, Pacific Justice Institute, Leadership Institute, the Ruth Institute, again and again, Texas Values, Florida Family Policy Council, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association, Moms for Liberty. I just know off the top of my head, I know they went.
Again, we determine who the good guys are and the bad guys are. That was the power the SPLC holds. And guess what? They used that power to fund racism so they could keep their power. Because in the real world, in reality, there's not enough racism for them to justify their existence as an organization, at least here in America.
Moms for Liberty very hard, I believe it was last year. And this year, they had been targeting who? Turning Point USA. They've also gone after Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Daily Wire, those guys, again and again and again. And it's completely out of control, and they're sitting on $1 billion. I've got this list here.
Yep, a list of their victims. I don't know if we need to watch Jesse Waters. But yeah, here we'll go into some memes. Again, the SPLC asking libs for money, knowing they're just going to send it to the KKK. And the libs are just like, yeah, we'll do it. Because they don't know, nor do they care. As long as their worldview is kept and maintained, and they can weaponize race against other people, against people they don't like, their political opponents. It doesn't matter. They will donate and fund it. Again, isn't it crazy? The whole world is fake and gay. You don't hate the media enough. Again, POV, you just told Democrats that their own party just got busted by the FBI for funding the KKK and other white supremacist groups. And again, what are you going to say? We can't trust the FBI. This is Kash Patel. This is Donald Trump's FBI. We can't trust anything they find because they're weaponized against the good guys. Is that what you're going to say? Whenever any Republican government is in power? Can't trust the FBI. But again, when it comes to the left being in power, trust the science. Trust the science. Trust the FBI. Whatever they find, Donald Trump's clearly corrupt. That whole case put against him wasn't weaponized for political purposes. It's real.
Sweeping indictment has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud.
Anyway, I'm going to put the meme down here at the bottom. Wait, the KKK is Democrat funded? Always has been. Clutch meme right there. We'll go
I just
back
want
to
to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. And this investigation is very much ongoing. Today, we're here to announce the charges of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and this investigation and the individuals who are responsible will be brought to justice. The Southern Poverty Law Center.
Let's hope they're actually brought to justice. But yeah, no, I mean, good on Kash Patel and his organization for doing that. And conveniently, I think the Atlantic or some left-wing publication, I think, got wind that this was coming out against the SPLC, so they posted a hit piece against Kash Patel just right before this release to an attempt to discredit him as the leader of the FBI currently. So again, people in the administration leaking information and trying to get ahead of this thing, so the stubborn part, so they can be like, well, it's just him weaponizing him again. It's him weaponizing his position politically against SPLC's politics. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to discredit Kash Patel so that the findings of this case can't be trusted. It's crazy. And again, check this one out. It says, POV, it's your first day at the SPLC. We're going to get hit for that, so I can't play that music. But yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, your first day at the SPLC. Who would have knew? That's good. She's a cutie. Okay. Let's, okay. Now, what's interesting, too, is that Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes have disappeared. Now, maybe this could be political on their part, just being like, hey, maybe they were actually involved in getting money from the SPLC and not realizing it, so they disappeared to kind of hide in shame, or they just left in the midst of this political turmoil to make it seem like they were involved to bring more eyes to their content. With these two, you can never know, because they will flip their opinions on a dime in order to generate and garner the most attention as possible. And this is not it's not a bad strategy. Whenever there's a political turmoil like this, it's like going, maybe we were funded. Even if they weren't. Disappearing at this time generates a lot of talk and content. Now they're going to be swarmed up in the algorithm. Now they're going to get, so whenever they come back, people are going to be tuning in to hear what they have to say. They're going to be like, oh, they weren't involved, or they were involved. So this might just be smart clickbait move on their part, because that's what these two are. These two are, when I did that last video I did the Indie Journal click war. These two are the kings of the Indie Journal click war. They're great at generating clicks. They're great at generating engagement. So that's what they're doing, I think. So whether or not they were actually getting paid is irrelevant. This is what they're doing. They are engaging this. But yeah, bad faith, both of them, for sure. So don't trust these two. They are snakes in the grass. All right. And then, Tim Pool posting this saying, I think it's just a complete PSYOP. I think it's Intel Operation PSYOP crap. The Very Fine People hoax just got a major plot twist. It turns out Unite the Right group was involved in Charlottesville, was a left-wing funded front group. There you go. Again, Donald Trump could have been a 2-term president if they hadn't been funding stuff. Again, remember, just watch this video. It'll actually clear it up for you better than I can say it.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
I ran for president in 2020 because of what I saw in Charlottesville in August of 2017. Extremists coming out of the woods, carrying torches, their veins bulging from their necks, carrying Nazi
all fake,
swastikas, and chanting the same
funded by the SPLC
bile that was heard in Germany in the early 30s. Neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and the Ku Klux Klan, so emboldened by a president then in the White House that they saw as an ally.
There you go. Joe Biden ran under false pretenses created by the SPLC. Do you think if Donald Trump had the media hadn't lied about his good people on both sides words, that he might not have been he could have been a 2-term president? Guys, that's how evil the left is. That's how evil the media is. You don't hate the media enough. You don't hate the left enough. There is no truth but power. They will lie, cheat, and steal in order to get to the powerful positions so they can arbitrarily dictate what truth is. And we're just lucky that Kash Patel stumbled onto this. The Obama administration halted the investigation into the SPLC. The smoking gun probably got more clear as they were allowed to get away with more and more over time because they got more brazen. But again, it's just crazy. It's a crazy world we live in, guys. All right, we'll check this out real quick. And again, this is more speculation on the Nick Fuentes stuff, so we'll just check this out real quick. But again, this is a distraction. Don't buy when Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens pop back up online. Just ignore them. Like I said, they don't need to have the political influence that they have. They're just entertainers.
Was where Nick Fuentes was first put on the map. Time magazine article written by Katie Riley, student who attended Charlottesville white supremacist rally, leaves Boston University after backlash. And what student would that be? It's Nick Fuentes. Interesting. Nobody knew who he was until the Charlottesville rally that had one of its organizers receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars from the SPLC. And isn't it interesting that Nick Fuentes is now encouraging people to vote Democrat in the 2026 midterms after running an op online that was clear as day to divide the right? No. The SPLC would never do something like that. Wait a second. I think that's exactly what could be going on here.
Yep, absolutely. And again, that's the world we live in today, folks. It's just absolutely insane. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I ran a little longer than I actually anticipated running today, so I apologize for that. But again, this is the world we live in. This is the crazy upside down world we live in. And again, don't trust the left. Don't trust the Democrats. There can be good Democrats out there, but the Democrats who are godless, the Democrats who are faithless, anyone who says that they are weaponizing a gospel other than what was given in the New Testament from Jesus Christ and the Apostle Paul, do not listen to them, man, because again, they think there is no truth but power. They don't have a God. They don't have a moral system. There is no truth but power to these people. So don't trust them. It's absolutely insane that these kids, they will lie, cheat, and steal to get to the top, period. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is getting and attaining power. And they will do and say whatever they have to do to get there, including funding racist groups, including funding racist group to maintain their cushy jobs that they shouldn't have, that shouldn't exist. Because again, we're looking for racism. We're looking for racism. There's not, again, huge demand for racism, not a very big supply. And again, but as the more people we import into this country, the more racist people are going to get. The people who you're going to have weaponized outrage from white folks, because there is only one group of people you're allowed to hate in this country, and they're going to be growing up. And this is why Nick Fuentes exists. You grow up in a society where white people are demonized, Nick Fuentes appears. Again, this is the original sin. They're holding, white people are the original sins for slavery. It's like, no, we're not. Slavery is a universal institution. It existed between every single culture ever. We fought a war to end it. That blood was paid. Forgive and forget. You don't hold the children responsible. You don't hold the children responsible for the sins of the father, right? And again, that's a Christian virtue and a Christian moral ethic right there. But again, this is why social justice is the opposite of actual justice. Because what is social justice? Social justice destroys the justice for the individual. Like, I personally was wronged, but it doesn't matter. The collective group's injustice is what really matters. Like, what are you talking about? I was wronged. I'm the person who needs justice. I'm the one that needs this right to be wrong, this wrong to be righted. But no, it's like, no, we're going to do it on a cultural and social level. You as an individual, be damned. So social justice is the opposite of justice for the individual. And that's why we have the court systems. The court system is made for the justice of the individual. So again, it's just a crazy upside down world we live in. I'm sorry that I've been going so long, but again, you have to know this. Trust God first. All of your moral foundations are built up in Him. Even if you think you're an atheist, you grew up in a Christian nation, your worldview is built in a Christian moral worldview and ethic. And again, if you don't believe in that, like I said, it's all relative. Everything is relative. So again, craziness, but yeah. Remember, racism isn't actually real, at least not here in America. It only exists because it's funded by Democrats and the SPLC. So that's about all I've got for you today. This is the Twin with the Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. That's all I've got for you today. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Stephen McLaughlin with the Southern Poverty Law Center. Every day, hundreds of racists want to spread hate in their communities, but they are an increasingly marginalized group. Without funding, they are often unable to continue their important work, the work of being racist. This is local racist Randy. Randy hates black people.
And the Indians.
And the Indians. But without your support, he runs the risk of not being able to be racist against anyone at all.
There just ain't no money in being racist these days. I can't even afford to get my KKK robes dry cleaned. They're all covered in barbecue sauce and just don't got no money to fix it, you know?
It's all right. It's all right. No one told you to talk, Randy. With just a small donation to the Southern Poverty Law Center, people like Randy here can continue to spread their message of hate and intolerance. Call today and we'll send you a picture of a racist in prison that can only make parole with your money. You'll also receive this free tote bag, which also doubles as a Klansman hood.